All right, so today we're going to dive in a little deeper on altcoins and kind of show you guys a little bit of behind the scenes of some of the tools we use, but also some of the analysis that I do on a day in, day out basis. My name is Paul Barron. This is TechPath. All right, there's a couple of things that happen when you're researching cryptocurrency and digital assets in general, whether it's NFT or anything that really is driving markets and where growth is coming from. A lot of people will look to things like sentiment analysis, which we do. We kind of leverage that against several different solutions and tools. Some of the ones that we use, of course, are Trade the Chain. We also use Glassnode, and then, of course, Token Metrics. All three of which are very great products. They're all somewhat expensive depending on what your investment, appetite is. But we're going to go into some of their tool sets today, give you guys kind of a look under the hood, and then also pick some altcoins that I think are going to be very interesting. So this is kind of an urgent breaking version of TechPath as we look at what's happening in the cryptocurrency space. Obviously, Bitcoin continues its massive kind of waffling. Let's just jump over to Trade the Chain real quick, and I'll just give you guys kind of a quick view of what I kind of analyze. And if you look at where Bitcoin is at currently, we'll jump in here to Bitcoin. The key here is this daily sentiment that I look at pretty heavily. It's one thing that I continue to kind of track against when you look at where cryptocurrencies kind of flow. Neutral sentiment, I've found that Trade the Chain is pretty accurate in terms of the general sentiment on Twitter. The difference is when you start to pull in all sorts of API connectivities around it, like what we do here with our own labs product, which essentially kind of analyzes other aspects of crypto. We've loaded up what essentially is all of the coins and then layered in a whole slew of keywords that circle and kind of surround the crypto space across various applications, everything from Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You can also do general Google search along with many other tools other than just Twitter. So that's the difference really when we do our analysis of crypto in general. So what you're seeing here, of course, is Bitcoin, where they currently are setting at 43,585, and it's bullish still on long term, which I think is still a little bit soft because our overall, and I want to do an analysis of this. We're working on a video currently to check at the trajectory of where Bitcoin could be. And Ethereum, also a little bit more concerned here with Ethereum, because when you look at where Ethereum, which is had a nice run here in the last 24 hours at a 6.5% increase. This is actually just bumped up in the last 30 minutes, but it's still holding bearish. Now, this is where Trade the Chain is a little bit soft in terms of their product, at least in my opinion, based on what I'm looking at. They don't keep up correctly with where the active market is going. So you have to do a lot of refreshing and really understanding, but their long term is usually holding on fairly strong. And this is something that I continue to see as a tool that we use on a day in, day out basis. And I want to zoom out of that and go to kind of some other tools here that we use. One, of course, is called Token Metrics. Token Metrics, you guys probably recognize these guys. They do a ton of work on analysis for portfolios. Now, the way that I look at Token Metrics is really I go into their data view, which is right here, and I go into these ratings, which is what you're seeing right here on screen. And then I look at the 24-hour price change and the 30-day price predictions. Some of the ones that I'm really interested in are these two right here, Polkadot and also Avalanche. And I'll talk a little bit about each of these, but Polkadot, I'm not going to break into because we've got a video coming out on that one that I really want to kind of dive into some of the deeper metrics of both sentiment, but also the traffic and their amplification numbers that we continue to see. That's a huge thing in terms of tracking a lot of these coins. When you compare, because we've been doing this for about 7-8 years, but tracking different kinds of brands, stocks, and various things. Only recently have we turned our technology to flip onto crypto and really go after understanding a lot more of this. So it's keyword intensive, and then also the sentiment analysis pretty much stays on point with where some of these trends and where some of these predictions are going. And a lot of times they align very nicely with some of these key companies in terms of what they're predicting out there. But as you can see here, I want to talk about Avalanche right here at 5.21% in the last 24 hours. This is a very good project that and we're trying to get Avalanche on the show to really kind of talk about what they're doing. Essentially, they are a layer 1 tech that is going after the financial blockchain component. They're doing a lot of things in NFT, and they're also, the project in general is a really dynamic project that I think has a lot of potential in the finance space, which is going to be a huge one. So let's jump over here to my first price charts. Before we get going too far into the coins that I want you guys to follow, let's take a look at where coin market cap, and there's some key things here. I want to zoom in on this one. There's a couple of key things here. One is market cap we just clipped over the 2 trillion mark again, and when you look at the volume, very low volume, 200 million volume right here, 200 billion volume. And then if you look at the Bitcoin dominance at 39%, this is something that is very intriguing to me because Bitcoin dominance has continued to fall. We've had a couple of videos where we've really broken this down, but dropping down under 40% is pretty, I don't know if that's impressive in the sense that we've seen such an evacuation out of Bitcoin and moving over to a lot of the more sustainable and or altcoins. ETH, of course, setting at 19.1%, which is also down just a hair. But 39.4, the question is how far will Bitcoin fall in terms of dominance in the crypto space? If we see the trends of where Bitcoin is going, I could see Bitcoin maybe dropping into the new 30%. If that does happen, we will start to see some pretty impressive numbers here in terms of these altcoins. So I want to do a couple things here on the coin market cap. Let's just go to the 7-day percentage. And we'll do a quick right here. Polygon, of course, as you guys know, if you've been tracking MATIC, which is getting ready to change their brand, but if you've been tracking MATIC and hopefully you've invested in it in the last few weeks, this one, of course, has been a high flyer. And let me zoom out on that. Go to 0. As you can kind of see right here of where this has come from and where this is holding on right now at over 240, hovering in around 245. Question is it too late to jump on this one? I don't know if Polygon is going to continue its trek. Even though you look back at Trade the Chain and where we are going with their sentiment analysis, and let's take a look at Polygon real quick. It's definitely on the high side. That concerns me a little bit when things start to ramp up like this right here. This is when I kind of step back and think, all right, maybe this is a little bit too much. And this is one of those types of altcoins that you can catch late. And if you catch it late, if you aren't in right here, then the scenario is that you've overbought and or overpaid for a coin. And that's going to be the scenario that I think Polygon is in. So let's talk about some coins that are doing well, and that is AAVE. Let's jump to AAVE real quick. Over here on CoinMarketCap, you can kind of see where this one is holding. And again, let's jump to the 1 month. There you go. AAVE is holding somewhat of a flat line here, but also getting a nice rise right here in the last few days. Here on Trade the Chain, same kind of thing. Let's jump over here and we'll go into Trade the Chain on coins. And with AAVE, you can kind of see this one right here where it gets a little bit interesting on the chart. Again, sentiment now, do you see the difference here in terms of sentiment tracking? Much lower as a comparison to the actual price. So this right here, to me, tells me we still have some runway left in AAVE, so potentially a good opportunity for buying at AAVE in terms of being able to go and jump into AAVE right now. And again, this is trading currently, as you can see right here at 651. This thing was trading in the 4s less than a couple of week ago, so this is, you know, a tremendous investment, I think, in one of those scenarios where you could really kind of ride this altcoin up. Let's also go to another one that is very interesting to me and one that is very young, and it's called Audius. Now, Audius essentially is an audio version of the blockchain. We had Adam Curry on our show not too long ago that was really talking about a movement in podcasting that was starting to push into it. And I see Audius, that is potentially going into this, which could be a very interesting thing if they actually develop some blockchain technology that could start to compete with podcasting 2.0, but also in being able to get to new markets. And what I mean by that, meaning new markets in the media space. And this would come from, everything from content creators on Spotify, iTunes, etc. This could be very interesting as it starts to move along. It did have a high, and we are seeing it in a little bit of a dip right here, which I think is a good time to take a hard look at this one. I want to look at this one also on Trade the Chain, on Audius, and we'll jump into Trade the Chain real quick and see where this is going. And that's the thing. When you're looking at a lot of these, really understanding the sentiment to price is very good. So this is another one that has negative sentiment starting to flow, and you can kind of see the price really kind of overreacting right here. But this is what I'm interested in right here. This little rise right here, while you've got a deep negative sentiment and you've got a rise in the opportunity. This goes back to my argument on Trade the Chain, is sometimes the data is a bit trailing and kind of falls out. So that's one of those things that you have to kind of be comparisons. So Audius, though I am somewhat bullish on it, it is one of those that I think is going to be more of a long-term play for you to be able to kind of play this one out a little deeper. So another great coin that I think is one of those that is moving a lot of the market share from Bitcoin over to these altcoins. And I think that's where we're seeing retail investors go right now. And it's a big one. As a reminder for everybody, this is definitely not financial advice. We always use tools like this to kind of analyze both from a transaction side, sentiment side, and general news, and that's kind of, buy the rumor, sell on the news kind of scenario that we're really analyzing when we look at all things technology. So before you do any kind of investing, do your own research and make sure that you understand what you're investing in, because sometimes people just invest in that rumor, that news, that headline. You need to dive a little bit deeper, especially on these crypto projects, to really understand what they are about. Let's also jump over to another one right here that I like, and that, of course, is my final coin and pick of the day, which is Avalanche. Now, this one is a new one. It is one that I think has some potential here to really take off, and there is a big scenario here when you look at what Token Metrics is doing here. Back to what I was showing you earlier with Polkadot flying here at the 24-hour price change. Polkadot seeing a 30-day price projection here at 37+%. This, of course, is on, as I said, on Token Metrics. The scenario here is this one right here, which is Avalanche. Avalanche, again, another, as I said, it is a fintech play or a financial blockchain project that I think has a lot of opportunity to really go into moving transactions across a variety of things, including banking, NFTs, etc. This one has a lot of life left in it, and this is one that I'm really watching very closely. So as you can see right here, long term on this one plays really nicely. Let's jump over here to its coin market cap and kind of watch this one move a little bit. Let's go to the 1 month, and you can kind of see this one playing out. It's got a nice rise. This is one of those, of course, the user or the ID for it, AVAX. But it's got a nice rise to it. It's also one of those coins that I feel like just has a long tail potential, mainly because of the project of what they're doing. So these are the kind of things that we really look at to be able to kind of move in the direction of what are and is kind of next. And when you see what's happening in the space in terms of the overall position right now, these are big deals. These are big opportunities. And it's also why I think we're seeing this thing up here in terms of the movement in the market space of seeing Bitcoin's percentage starting to fall under 40% in terms of its density in the marketplace. So that's a big deal. When you look at how all this is going to play out, I think we're going to continue to see the altcoins really start to move. The question will be whether or not they move off of Ethereum and also off of Cardano, which is another one that is starting to stall a little bit. I anticipated Cardano to be a little bit stronger here. I'm not sure if this is a scenario where people are starting to test the market because they've got an opportunity. Maybe they sold out or vacated some of their Bitcoin and started to say, okay, let's take a look at really spreading this over a lot of different secondary coins. And maybe that's the scenario with Cardano, because Cardano was on an absolute jump. And I think that might be the situation where people are just starting to kind of flex their muscles and kind of move into some other things. So again, as you guys see movement in the space, hopefully you're using tools like this and you're also gathering as much research as you can, because the key here is really to listen to a lot of experts and also analysts like ourselves. We are not experts, but we are a deep dive analytical group that really dives into where this technology is moving and kind of what its opportunity is in terms of growth. When you take a look at it that way in your investment strategies, whether you're looking at short-term or long-term, if you're getting into short-term investing, then I would probably look at something like Market Cipher, which is great on TradingView. There's a way to pull that into Market Cipher into TradingView. It's a little bit more expensive, but it is a tool that I think has an opportunity to get you into that real-time, minute-by-minute kind of analysis. That's if you're a trader. If you're a long-term investor, I want to say long-term investor, meaning you're holding crypto for more than 6 months, or you're holding digital assets for more than 6 months, maybe you're looking out into a year or 2 year. And if that is the rate, then I think these kinds of tools do really well, because they can give you kind of that mid-range to long-range analysis of the market and can give you some conviction in the projects if you go do your homework and do your research on the projects yourself. So again, just to recap, AAVE I still think is a little bit overpriced right now, and probably one that I would still invest in because it's kind of on that flat line. As far as Polygon, I feel like that one is the one that may be on its line in terms of where it's going, unless you're willing to take a risk and kind of move in that direction. But I do like Audius, and I also like Avalanche, both of which are a little bit more on the newer side of things in terms of kind of the altcoins that are the in vogue. But both of them have very interesting but very varied programs and projects control. One's going directly at the audio market, which is really, I think, when you look at streaming and where we're going to see those kind of technology implementations in blockchain, that's going to be a potential project that could really fly. And then the other one is a fintech project with Avalanche, because it's that in itself, when you look at their team and you look at what that project really represents, it's got a huge amount of opportunity. All right, so make sure and stay tuned. If you're listening in over on the podcast, make sure and subscribe. Give us a rating over there on any one of those. If you're watching here on YouTube, make sure and hit the like button right now, and of course, subscribe to the channel. We're going to continue to dive in deep on cryptocurrency, digital assets, along with EVs, AI, and the like. If you have an idea for the show that you'd like us to really break down, we are going to try to continue to bring on more people, so don't worry. We've got tons of interviews lined up. But make sure and send us a note to producer@revernetworks.com. You can also hit me up on Twitter @Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.